Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the online workshop organized by Skillveda. Skillveda is your partner in skill development, offering a wide range of webinars, offline workshop, short-term courses, and training programs designed to help you unlock your potential and achieve your career goals. We are thrilled to have you join us for this exciting learning journey. A special welcome to our extreme trainer, Ms. Sutopa Bose, a senior education consultant, a teacher trainer with more than 30 years of experience to share her knowledge and insights. Welcome, Ms. Bose.
Yeah, thank you so much, Twinkle. I'll just, I think, switch off my other device because
Yeah, it's
there's an
echoing
echo.
actually.
Yeah. Just 1 minute, huh?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry for that technical glitch. Hello, everyone. Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, so I should be hearing more good evenings or thumbs up or heart signs just to acknowledge each other because it is very, very important. This is an online platform. We are not able to see each other face to face. So, this is the only way we can acknowledge our presence. All right. So, let's set the ground rules first. So, the first ground rule is that we will keep all our devices on mute unless and until we are required to speak so that, there is no disturbance for the other. And second thing is that we all need to interact. We need to get involved the with the session so that it is interesting for me to deliver and for you to take. All right, because we are here mutually. We have agreed that we will be taking part in this session. So let's make it more interactive. All right. Uh, am I clear? Please show me a thumbs up. So we are 19 people here, minus 3 because 20 now, so minus 3. One is Twinkle Ma'am's screen, sorry, my screen, Twinkle Ma'am and me. So we have around 17 people here. So 17 thumbs up I should be seeing on the screen. Come on. All right. Okay. I don't see anything. All right. So let's move on. So I'll begin the session with this very interesting activity. My question is, how was the day? All right. But but I expect not a verbal response from you, but I will request you to grab a piece of paper, a pencil, and draw how your day was. So maybe you can, just pick one incident that was very interesting during the day that has happened with you, and you can draw pictures to symbolize the events of that, the scenario of that event. Okay, so just grab a piece of paper and pencil and do it. I have 2 minutes for this activity. I will give you 2 minutes to draw and then we will discuss. Okay. And while you do that, I will request you to keep these points in mind. Okay. So can you see my screen? Can you see the points clearly?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So just go through these points, keep these points in mind. It's not necessary that you address all the 3 points. Any one will also do. So when you're drawing, just keep this in mind. It's a very interesting activity if you do it sincerely. Huh? I wish I could see everyone. In case you finish before time, you can show me a thumbs up so that we can go on. Anybody who's finished? Anybody who's finished? Okay. John has finished. John, can you please show me a drawing? Can we see?
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Is my video showing?
Yes, it is. Okay, can you bring it a little closer? Okay. So I can see a person, right?
That's me with my hand stretched out,
Okay.
and the raindrops are falling, which I love water, love rain,
Oh,
and
great.
I've shown myself smiling year to year. Okay, this has been the weekend too.
Okay, all right.
Okay, and there's a little
Okay,
bit of sunshine also there.
great,
Probably the expectation of meeting you at 5 o'clock.
great. Okay, all right. So, John, which of these points would you like to talk about?
Obviously, anything that helps us go ahead in our chosen field, and being hopeful is one of them,
Okay,
especially in the field of education. Keeping one's spirit up and ante at all points of time is not that easy. So that would
great.
be my pointer to you for this evening.
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts, John. Anybody else who would like to share? See, sharing is very, very important because this is an online session. And if we don't share thoughts, then it will be very dull for all of us and it will be very difficult, to pass this duration of 1.5 hours. So it will be great if we could interact with each other. Yes. Anybody else? Okay, all right. So I think John has already said it all that we as teachers we need to be hopeful, we need to be persistent, and that is what he was trying to say. If I get it right, and of course the rain and the sunshine. It was sunshine is like our students are like sunshine in our lives. The moment we walk into the school and we walk into our classes, whatever we have in mind, it just vanishes like thin air. So this is what I'm trying to build here. And can somebody tell me what is the purpose of doing this activity? Because you can make out that this is nothing, this has got nothing to do with the session planning or anything. So what is the purpose of doing this activity? Anybody?
Make it more engaging and interesting.
Kiran, is that you?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening. If you can please repeat yourself.
To make it interesting and engaging the students.
Okay, okay, all right, great, very good. Anybody else who wants to share has some other viewpoint or wants to share? All right. So without wasting any more time, so this is a very simple activity. This is not rocket science. So I wanted to draw everyone to the session. So this was a creative way of doing it. This you can do with your children also when you walk into the class. Instead of just drawing their attention, saying things, you can make them do certain things which will engage them instantly. So this is the when I said that it's not connected with your session plan. Actually, this is in a way, right? So this is how you can begin your session. So just walk into your class, make them do a little activity, which will bring everyone together on the same platform, right? So let's move on from this activity. Where do we reach? So we are now here at the session objectives. I need 4 volunteers for this. 4 volunteers, please. Come on, 4 volunteers. Okay, one hand raised. Who else? Who else? Okay, Kiran is there. Very good. Thank you so much. Who else? There's so many people. Komal, Eliza, Sangeeta, Shweta. Come on. I have only 2 people. See, I am not going to move on if you don't raise your hands. Come on. 2 more people. All right. I nominate myself. So I'll be one. One more person. All right. Everybody has decided to keep quiet. Is it? Okay, so one question that I would like to ask, you want me to be bilingual or how do you want it completely in English? So just show me, write in the chat box E if you want complete English, or if you want it to be bilingual, just write B. Um, Twinkle ma'am, is there anything there in the chat box?
Yeah, Sutapa ji.
Are they writing in the chat box? I told them to write if they want it in English. I told them
Bilingual. They want both in English or Hindi. Madam,
अच्छा,
both.
both in English and Hindi. अच्छा, तो मैंने अभी यहाँ पे बोला था कि हमें 4 volunteers चाहिए. जॉन ने nominate करा अपने आप को, किरण ने करा और मैंने करा because I couldn't find the third one. Fourth one is still remaining. जल्दी से, come on.
If nobody is there, then I will volunteer.
Great. Thank you so much, Twinkle. I love you for this. Okay. So what we are going to do is that we are going to read 2 points each because otherwise if one person does it, it becomes very monotonous. All right. So I'll begin reading and then maybe John can take up, then Kiran and then Twinkle. Okay. So I'm
Okay.
reading the first 2 points. Understand the difference between a lesson plan and a session plan. Understand the significance of effective session planning. All right. John, over to you.
Explore the key components of an effective session plan. Introduce techniques for creative planning.
Great. Kiran?
Align learning objectives with activities and assessments. Apply strategies for engagement and inclusion.
Twinkle ma'am.
Transform to additional lessons. Develop tailored inclusive plans.
Okay, so develop tailored and inclusive plans may not be possible because we have limited time, but we will try to do it. And what do you mean by transform traditional lessons? How will a session plan transform traditional lessons?
Instead of traditional learning, we should change it to a modern activity-based learning.
Great, very good. So we have a complete understanding of what our session objectives are. Okay. Another pertinent question, whether it has to be a lesson plan or it has to be a session plan. Are they equally important, or lesson plan is more important than session plan? Do you think that there is a difference? And if there is, what is that difference? So I've
Lesson,
asked 3 questions.
lesson plan will only cater to the curriculum content of the chapter or whatever we are going to teach. And session plan will be a wholesome activity, including curriculum as well as
Overall
extra
development of a child in a session plan.
validate.
Okay, all right. So we've got one pointer. Anyone else who would like to share? That's a great observation. Anybody else who would like to share?
Typically, a lesson plan is specific to a particular class or a period, which is a session, a part of a chapter. Whereas a session plan is the overall picture from start to finish. Because in some cases, in some subjects, one chapter may not be taught in one day. It might take couple of periods over the entire week. Unless the teacher understands where I want to start and where I want to finish, what are my objectives, and then break them down into specific lesson plans specific to that particular day, it will not be that effective. So, in my opinion, a session plan is more important, more elaborate than a lesson plan.
Great. Okay. All right. Anybody else wants to share? 2 observations we've already got. Anybody else? Please do share. See, if you keep quiet, it is not going to help any of us. We are all teachers and we are very fond of speaking. So what happened here? Come on. All right. Okay, since we've already got 2 observations, so let's see what, according to me, this is what lesson plan and session plan is. So lesson plan is basically, it is an overview of the complete chapter. So it is a broader display of the concept included in the lesson. Okay, and it outlines an overall learning, the learning objectives, the resources that you need, the procedures that you write. So this is basically a broader picture that it portrays, whereas a session plan is more focused on a segment of that lesson. Like John said, that one lesson may not be covered in one session. It may have smaller sessions, smaller segments. So session plan focuses on those smaller segments. So for every segment, there is a different objective. There is a different, there are different resources, there are different activities, and so on and so forth, right? So these are the basic differences between a lesson plan and a session plan. So lesson plan is a broader overview of the chapter, and all the components of the lesson plan focus on a broader view, right? And session plan is it focuses on a smaller segment of, I'm sorry, the lesson. Okay, and according to the part that you're teaching, your objectives will change, your resources will change, and everything is going to be different, and it is going to be different from segment to segment. Correct? So these are the 2 basic differences between a session plan and a lesson plan. So the question is that whether, like John said, that session planning is more important. I think both are important. Because lesson planning is also important because it is going to give you an overview of what you're going to teach throughout the lesson, what objectives you have set for yourself, what goals you need to reach. Okay, so that is a broader view of the lesson, and that is very very important because it is basically a kind of a summary of everything, right? And session plan, that is also equally important because you have planned your lesson, but how you plan your each session, each period of your classroom, that is also very important because you cannot walk into your classroom having a bigger view. Okay, you have to uh, time your session because you just have a limited time of 35 minutes, 40 minutes, right? And you have to achieve certain goals. So if you don't fix that goal for that particular timeline, for that particular period, everything is going to go haywire, right? So that is why both are important, lesson planning and session planning. So why effective session planning matters? Okay, if you've marked my words, I've been using this word effective. So what is the difference between session plan and effective session plan? What do you think is the difference? Normally, session planning is not done. I mean, we create a lesson plan and we think that it is all, but session planning is very, very important. And my question is why effective session plan, not just session plan? Anybody?
Ma'am, in effective session planning, we go from simple to complex. If we start planning a session from complex things for the class, it will be difficult for the children to register to understand the concepts. Like, for example, in phonics, if we start basically from blends only and we go, the children are not well versed with the phonics only, then how can we teach them blends? So session planning, according to me, is from simple to complex, like we step up the ladder. So that way, from April to March of one session, we plan from simple to complex. The basics are taught first, and then we go to the bigger things, like in maths. First, the concept of smaller number and bigger number is taught, then we go to addition. So,
Okay.
effective session planning is very important for a teacher so that she can plan her lesson plan accordingly.
Okay. So my question is like it's written on the screen. Why effective session planning matters, and I want that answer. Why we are saying that it should be an effective session plan, not
Barkha
just
So
ji
that
a
it
is
session
right.
plan.
becomes
Yeah.
so that it becomes easy for the children to grasp a topic.
Right. So that we are able to achieve our goals. Correct. That is what you
Ma'am.
mean to
Yes,
say,
ma'am.
Eliza.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay.
Yes,
So
Uttampa ji, Barkha ji is writing in the chat box that
uh,
it is necessary to get the outcome that is expected from
yeah.
students.
Yes, exactly. So, session plan, to make it effective, we have to plan it in a manner that we are able to achieve our goals and children are able to learn what we expect them to learn. So that is the basic difference. That is why we are saying here that we are talking about effective lesson plans, not just lesson plans. All right? Okay. So let's see how it is important that we design our session plans effectively. So here I will give you 30 seconds to read this through because there are a lot of points and I want to make your observations. Please observe what you see here. If you're done, please show me a thumbs up sign so that I get to know that you've read it through. Done? All right. Got a response from John. Who else?
Barkhaji is also saying yes.
All right. Barkaji is also saying. And who else has read it through? Because it is very important, you know, because it is extremely important for us to understand why we are doing certain things. Kiran has given a thumbs up. Okay. All right. So I have listed a lot of important things that we achieve when we are planning our sessions effectively. Out of them, I've marked certain points in blue, if you can see that. So why do you think that, envisioning your lesson is important? Why do you think that it is important for us to visualize our lesson before we begin it? Anybody?
If the teacher has the clear, then it will be easier for him or her to uh, teach the students effectively.
Okay, all right. So Kiran, I'm
Barkhaji,
sorry.
can you unmute yourself and speak? Because Sutopaji can't see your chat in the
Yeah,
Barkhaji, yeah, she is writing. If you have a clear goal in your mind, then you will be able to execute in a better way.
exactly. So if you have already run the complete lesson in your mind when you're writing, say for example, step by step you're writing that what you will be doing, how you will be doing that lesson, that particular segment. So you have actually drawn a picture of yourself in the classroom. Okay, and how your class is going to respond to it. For example, I ask a question, how my students are going to respond to it. I do an activity, how my students are going to respond to it. I show them a video, how my students are going to respond to it. So when you have created that picture in your mind, it will be easier for you to execute it in a structured and proper manner so that the flow is not broken, because if there is no structure in the classroom, and children are very clever, बहुत जल्दी उनको समझ में आता है that ma'am is disoriented or ma'am is disorganized. And the moment उनको पता चलता है कि ma'am is not in the class or in sync with the class, or is not in sync with the flow of the lesson, they immediately come to action, and पूरा class आपका disorganized हो जाता है, right? They take advantage of that situation, and then it becomes very difficult for you to bring them to track, right? So that is why it is very very important to visualize. क्योंकि see, एक चीज है ना, manifestation सुना है ना सबने? तो manifestation में क्या कहते हैं, that you have to visualize yourself into that situation. So if you want, say, a better paying job, or you want a house for yourself, so you have to visualize that you are in that house. What kind of house do you want? What kind of windows do you want? What kind of doors do you want? Okay, so you have to actually transport yourself into that situation where you are living in that house. Then only your manifestation will work. Same thing here. Visualization is very important. So if you can visualize how you're going to run your lesson, you've done it, right? So how does it help? Visualizing the lesson and then giving it a complete structure. How does it help? It improves student engagement and learning outcomes. So you fixed yourself a goal, right? Goals are important, but what are you going to do to achieve them? That is equally important. So if you don't do the right things, you will not be able to achieve that goal. So the goal and the outcome will be different, right? You will never be able to achieve that outcome, what you want your children to learn, right? If your class does not have structure, if the students have not engaged as you wanted them to be, right? So these are very, very important, and then it fosters inclusive teaching practices. So inclusive teaching practices, what does that mean? Inclusive teaching, what does that mean? Inclusive.
Catering the needs.
Catering to the needs of all students in your class.
All students, yeah.
Yes, all the students to your class. So there may be, we know that there are so many things, so many dynamics that are working in the class. For example, there are students who learn in different ways. We know about different learning styles. We know about multiple intelligences, right? So there might be slow learners, right? So to
Teaching,
address,
teaching irrespective of a student's difficulties. Barkha
correct,
is writing.
correct. Yes, yes. So involving and engaging everybody is the job of a teacher, is the responsibility of the teacher. It's not that कि जो जिनको समझ में आ रहा है हम उन्हीं को cater करें, और जो बच्चे थोड़े से जिनको नहीं समझ में आ रहा है, those who are lagging behind, we just leave them. Usually this is what happens. People try once or twice and then we let go, but we have to be persistent. That is one skill that we need to learn, that we have to be persistent till the time each of my child, I'm able to reach each of my child, I'm not going to let go. And that is what an effective session planning helps you to do, because you are visualizing your class in your mind, that मेरा एक बच्चा मेरे कुछ बच्चे ऐसे हैं, मेरे कुछ बच्चे ऐसे हैं, सम आर रियली स्लो, उनके साथ मुझे इस तरह की कुछ एक्टिविटी करनी पड़ेगी या इस तरह के क्वेश्चंस करने पड़ेंगे, right? We will see all that. I will show you a sample effective session plan, so we will talk about it later. All right, then this is very important, like what an effective session plan should consist of. All right, so we are talking about smart learning objectives. What does smart stand for? Everybody knows, I'm sure. Smart. S is for if somebody is writing on the chat
Specific.
box, I am not able to see.
Specific.
Specific. Excellent, very good. M,
Measurable.
measurable. Excellent. A,
Attainable.
attainable, achievable. R, R,
Resourceful. This I am missing.
relevant, relevant. Okay, and T,
Time bound.
time bound. So we have to keep this in mind when we are defining the learning objectives of the session plan. Okay, so what are the components? First is the objectives, and they have to be smart. Second is what should go into your lesson plan, session plan. It's written.
Material and resources.
Materials and resources. What materials you're going to use? All right,
Teaching
then
aids.
then
Instructional
third point,
strategies.
instructional strategies, how you're going to do it. Okay, so what all you're going to say, what activities you're going to do, what uh, procedures you're going to follow. So those instructions need to be very clearly mentioned in that lesson session plan. Okay, and then your activities. So how you're going to introduce that segment, what are you going to do to deal with the main part of the main body of the segment or the content, how you're going to deal with that, and how you're going to close your session. So that is also very important. What happens usually is that, we fall short of, minding the time a little bit. So what happens is we are halfway through and the bell rings. So we are not able to summarize our session. We are not able to capture what learning has happened. So that is why it is very, very important for you to mention the time also. Like, for example, the beginning activity, the warm-up activity. So it is not necessary that you are doing the warm-up activity only in the first session to introduce the topic, the lesson. Okay, it is equally important that you introduce every segment in the same way, because every segment deals with a different part of information of the lesson. Okay, so that is why it is equally important that you have a structure for each and every segment. All right, introduction, core, closure. Then you have differentiation technique. Differentiation technique means when we're talking about inclusive learning, so every child learns in a different way, right? So I have put it in my session plan how I'm going to deal with different kinds of children in the classroom. Okay, and then you have assessment methods, like how you are going to capture or measure the learning that has happened. All right, so you have to define it. What activity you're going to do. You're going to question them. You're going to do a quiz, or you're going to do some art drawing exercise like we did just now. So what is it that you're going to do to capture the learning of that particular session? All right, so whether it is formative or summative, so maybe you can give them a little uh, worksheet kind of a thing. So but you can only make all these things happen when you have chalked it out properly, step by step. Otherwise you're going to miss it. If you just go into your classroom having the lesson plan in mind, that's a broader overview. You have not planned for how to do a particular paragraph, how to deal with a paragraph which has a very, very important information related to the chapter. So you haven't planned for that. So what will happen? What will happen if you don't plan all this? What is going to happen? Predictable. We just spoke about it, goals and outcomes. Right? So our goal may be very nice and very descriptive and to the point, but if you don't reach the outcome, nothing is going to make any sense. All right? Okay. So now we come into this part, preparing an effective session plan. So how do you do it? What are the steps involved? So what we need to remember is that, creating a session plan can be challenging. It's a creative process, right? So you have to be very creative, very innovative, bring in new ideas of dealing with things. I mean, it can, if you go to your class, you can just pick up your book and read it out, explain to them, do the end of the session exercises and walk off, right? Thinking that your children have got it. You ask questions, children are able to answer. So that is done. But how many children are able to answer? That is the question. Is the whole class involved? Are you able to engage everyone? So that is the question. All right. So it is our, why effective session planning is important and why we should be actually preparing for it. So it is your daily guide for what students need to learn, how it will be taught, what you're going to do, right? And how learning will be measured. So these are three things which are very, very important, and you have to keep in mind when you are preparing your session plan, effective session plan. Okay. All right. So step one is framing the session objectives. So what question does this answer? What questions should your objectives be answering? I mean, when you are preparing your you are defining your session objectives. What all should you? What all questions should come to your mind? We are talking about the what factor. And we are also talking about your SMART objectives.
Take a minute.
How can you make your objectives specific? Okay, so let me give you one example, one objective. The students will learn about the water cycle. Would you consider this a specific objective? We'll learn about the water cycle. Kiran says, okay, yes. Anyone else who wants to share? Do you think this is a specific goal or objective? Okay, John says yes. Who else says yes? If somebody is writing in the chat box, I'm sorry, dears, I will not be able to see. So if you can please show me a thumbs up or something. Okay. So if I tell you that in this lesson, my students will be learning about the process of evaporation, condensation, and precipitation. They will be able to define the complete process of the water cycle. Do you think this is more specific than just learning about the water cycle? What will they learn about the water cycle? What exactly will they learn about the water cycle?
Well, it will depend upon the class we are teaching the water cycle. If it is a lower class, then we will just not
So
introduce.
we are talking about framing our session plan. We are talking about framing our objectives.
Yes, if the class is, I think, third or fourth grade, then we do not actually teach them the definitions. We just go through in a simple way that the water evaporates means water rises high due to sun's heat. And when it is going to be specific that we are going to teach them all the definitions very clearly, then the specific, we have to work on that specific part of the water cycle too.
Even if you are not telling them about the definitions and all, what is it that they are going to learn about the water cycle? They are going to learn about the process of water cycle, right? So they
Yes,
will be able to talk about the process of water cycle.
yes, I think being a science teacher, what we do in junior classes, we just teach them that water rises high with due to sun's heat, and when it reaches at the top, then it gets due to the lower temperature, it again turns to water. The vapors again turn to water. So we do not introduce the specific words like condensation and evaporation. So this is the difference. When we are going to teach it to fifth class or sixth class, then we introduce the specific
Fine.
word.
So you are not introducing these words to them, but
Yes,
you expect them to understand how this whole process is happening.
yes. This is the process they need to learn.
Right. So
Definitely.
what I'm trying to say here is that you need to use specific verbs. What exactly in that they are expected to do in that lesson. Okay, so they'll be able to define or talk about, say, not define, talk about the process of, evaporation and the water rising, and they will be able to explain the cycle of how water turns into rain. Water vapor turns into rain. So this is how they are going to learn. So you have to be very specific. That is what I mean to say. So learning is a broad generic term. If you're talking about, if you say that talking about, they will be able to talk about this, they will be able to describe this, they will be able to do this, They will be able to do this activity, right? They will be able to differentiate. So these are the things that are very specific, right? So we are talking about specific goals, right? Measurable. If you are able, if you are telling, if you know exactly what they are expected to do, for example, they'll be able to talk about the process of, water vapor becoming rain, okay, and the complete cycle. So this is measurable. So if you're saying that learn about this, what? What are they supposed to learn? So that's a very broad spectrum word. You need to, go in depth. I mean, you need to uh, be more specific and come to a word where you will be able to measure that activity.
Sutapa Barkha ji is writing ki we will start by showing an experiment or demonstrate so that it's create curiosity in students to learn more.
Yes, yes. And you can also make them the different parts of the water cycle. For example, you are talking about water vapor. So the somebody will crouch down, and then when you say water vapor rises, so they will just stand up like this. So this is, you are also physically involving them. So when you're giving it a multi-sensory approach, the retention, like I had said in my earlier this thing also, the retention needs to happen. Maybe when they are in the class, they're able to, grasp everything. But it should not be the situation like out of sight, out of mind. So the moment because they are learning a lot of topics throughout the day, the lot of subjects throughout the day. So we have to give them that hook so that they remember what they've learned. Correct? So measurable, attainable. It should be age specific. Like Kiranji said that, our objectives will depend on which classes we are catering to. Relevant. We just can't show them any video and say that, okay, we are talking about water cycle, so we can see this video. It has to relate to what topic you're teaching. You just can't place a video anywhere in the lesson and expect the children to understand and make the connections. You have to identify which place you're going to show that video. So it has to be relevant. Whatever resources you are using, they have to be relevant. Your objective has to be relevant. Okay. And then it is time bound. Of course, you need to keep the time factor in mind, that how much you'll be able to do during that particular session. Okay. So this is all about session objectives, how you do it. Then you have planning your resources, because this is very, very important. Often it happens that you walk into the class and then you have to do an activity and then you remember, oh my God, I forgot this. And the moment it happens, whole class goes topsy-turvy because your flow is broken, right? And making it time bound, of course, we have already spoken about it. Then we are talking about step 3, and that is your lesson procedure. This is a very, very important thing. Very important. So you have to be as explicit as possible when you're jotting down the procedures, right? One by one, you're writing down the moment you walk into the class, what you're going to do. After that, what you're going to do. What will be your next step? So each and every step is defined in the procedure, lesson procedure. Okay, we are going to see a sample of this. Okay, then step by step instructions, like right from the moment you walk in and till the end of the session, you have to chalk everything down so that you don't make a mistake and you don't miss any step, to make it a smooth flow. All right. Then your assessment methods. How will you assess the the learning that has happened? Just 1 minute. Yeah. So what are you going to do? Are you going to have a quiz, or you can have an hands-on activity, or you can have a presentation, right? Or you can have a role play. So this is all going to come in that phase only, when you're, this phase, lesson procedure. So you have to keep your assessment goals in mind. What are you trying to assess? and that will go into your lesson procedure. So everything is interlinked. Objective, lesson procedure, your assessment methods, everything is interlinked. Nothing is standalone. Okay, so you cannot bifurcate and create silos. All right. And of course, if you, you cannot measure the growth till the time you assess it. So the growth has to be measurable. All right. So these are the 4 steps involved in creating an effective session plan. Then we come to this very important discussion, like aligning objectives, activities, and assessments. Like we had just said, that how objectives, activities, and assessments are aligned. So here there is a very important and very useful process that we can bring into our class, and that is the backward design model. All right. The 3 questions that you need to ask yourself. So what happens is we first, a forward model would be that we first decide the goal, then we decide what all activities we need to do, and then we decide the assessment or the outcome. What outcome do we reach to? Okay. So in a backward model, we reverse the order. Right? So here what is happening is that first we are thinking about the outcome. What do we expect our children to understand? All right. And then according to that, we align our activities. Right. And then we align our objectives. Okay. So this is, what learning activities will help the students to achieve the desired results? How do we plan to achieve that objective and the outcome? So first, for that, we first need to decide what outcome we need to reach. हमारा end destination क्या है? उसके according हम अपनी सारी planning करते हैं. All right. Then again, once we have decided that, then match activities to Bloom's taxonomy. Activities जो आपकी होनी चाहिए, ये नहीं होनी चाहिए कि आपका जो 6 levels of Bloom's taxonomy है, उनके basis पे होनी चाहिए. We have to be very mindful of this, that what activities we are placing at which stage. So initially, when you are starting the lesson, maybe certain activities are there which will cater to the lots section, and then we take them further to higher levels of thinking, and then we plan activities which are more towards thoughts. All right. So ensure assessments reflect the objectives. So what were your goals and what are your outcomes? They have to be in perfect sync. So your goals and outcomes cannot be different. Your goals need to reach the outcome. Okay. Use differentiated instruction. That is, we have already discussed that we need to take care of all the types of learners inside the class, because we are talking about inclusive classroom. And then this can happen only when you have planned your session effectively. All right. Does everyone get it? I can't see anyone. So, yeah. Am I clear? Is there any doubt? Okay. All right. Okay. So just you can ask questions. Of course, we will have a question answer session in the towards the end of the session. All right. Now I would like you to take a look at a sample effective session plan. Okay, and I want you to take a very good look at it, because this has got all the components that we had just discussed, all the attributes of being an effective session plan. All right. So here we go. Just let me know if my screen is visible. Is it visible?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes.
So I will try to enlarge it a little bit. Just give me a minute. Yeah. So I will just enlarge it a little bit so that you are able to see.
It's fine. It's visible.
It's visible? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So we are talking about a lesson on globes and maps. Okay. And this is a grade 5 session plan. So this is, we are talking about, and I want you to notice certain things. I'm not going to tell you that. I want you to notice. Okay, so these are the lesson objectives. And then if I will not say that you read it out because it will be very time taking then. Or if you can, then it's all right. So if you can see that I was talking about those using verbs, right? So here it is very clear of what the deliverables will be. What is the goal? So define a globe and a map because we are going to talk about it. Definition does not mean that you have to give a scripted definition. You should be able to describe that in your own words also. So what is a globe? What is a map? We don't restrict them to a particular definition. Okay? Be able to recognize the true shape of the earth. Explain the concept of centripetal force. Identify the advantages. So every sentence is, every objective is starting with a verb, which fixes what exactly they will be doing. All right, got it? So we had just spoken about it. All right. Then sessions required, we are talking about the time factor. So sessions required, we have written that we required to complete this session, we required 6 sessions of 35 minutes each. Very specific. How much time we require. Resources required, we have listed everything that will be required in during the course of the session, the lesson. Okay. Then learning methodology is also mentioned, how they are going to learn, what pedagogies you use, what methodologies you use. So everything needs to be written here. So explanation using audio visual aids, hands-on learning through activities, and map work. So these are the pedagogies, the methods that you will be using while you are transacting the lesson. Now comes the session. So far we were discussing about the lesson. Okay, so you can see that there are so many lesson objectives. Okay, but here when you're coming to a session, you will see that there are only 3 or 4 objectives that relate to the particular segment that you are going to do. All right, here again you will see that every objective starts with a verb. Engage, identify, develop an understanding, differentiate, develop an understanding. So you know exactly what you expect your child to do. And that is what makes it measurable. So when you end the lesson, you will be able to measure whether you've been able to achieve these goals or not. All right? Clear? Okay. Then we have resources. Again, you would have a different resource for different segments. Correct? So, and here the resources, but see, here there were so many resources, but you are using only some of them here because everything is not required. All right. Then comes the lesson procedure. So you can see here, begin the lesson by building the interest of the learner. So you are giving a step-by-step instruction to yourself, how you will flow, move with the flow of the lesson or the segment, the session. I'm sorry, not the lesson, the session. Okay, so here very clearly you have mentioned that what is going to follow what, which step is going to follow the first one. So begin the lesson like this, then you ask them to do this, then you take them through the blueprint, then you take them through the objectives. So this is how you're going to take them through the lesson, the segment, the session. Okay. Then you're saying that check previous knowledge, because this is what we need to do. Recapitulation of previous knowledge. So you are checking previous knowledge. So you are actually writing what questions you will ask. So this has to be as descriptive as possible. And if you do this, what is going to be the advantage? Can you tell me? There is a very uh, obvious advantage that this gives. And it is, you know, it's a problem in every school. What is the advantage of writing such a descriptive session plan? I know this is going to take a lot of time, but if you do this, it is going to sort your life. It is going to sort your life. So can you tell me what is the obvious advantage? अच्छा मुझे ये बताइए कि सबसे ज्यादा प्रॉब्लम कब होती है स्कूल में प्रॉब्लम सबसे ज्यादा कब होती है टीचर मतलब स्कूल प्रिंसिपल को प्रॉब्लम कब होती है या बच्चों को कब प्रॉब्लम होती है
Unwarranted teacher absenteeism.
Exactly, John. Thank you so much for that. Unwarranted, uninformed teacher absence. तो अगर आपने अपना सेशन प्लान इतने अच्छे से बनाया हुआ है तो the head of your school just has to place one teacher there who can handle the subject, and she has everything written in front of her, so there is no loss for the children, no period loss for the children. Teachers can take I am a teacher, say I'm a teacher, and in the morning I get up with a massive migraine attack, so I can't go to school. It's not that I intended to take an unwarranted leave, but there is no choice. So what to do? So I informed the principal that, ma'am, I'm sorry, I will not be able to attend school today. Now principal is stuck. Who is going to take care of that class? You had a period in, say, sessions in 3 different sections. So who's going to take that period? So if there is such a structured lesson plan, such a detailed session plan, uh, there available with the other teacher, do you think that she will have a problem, or the principal will have a problem, or the children will have a problem, because they are the people who are going to lose the most if you are absent? First, that it is very difficult for them to connect with the new teacher, right, who doesn't regularly come to their class. They miss you because in the younger classes, children are very much attached to their teachers, so there is an emotional void also. So if you prepare your session plans like this, it is like any teacher can walk into the class and take the class, so there is no loss of period. Correct, because we are always running of short of time in schools. ये छुट्टी अनऑर्गेनाइज्ड अनअनाउंस्ड छुट्टियां हो जाती हैं, राइट, देयर इज हेवी रेन, देयर इज अ छुट्टी, देयर इज टू मच ऑफ हीट, छुट्टी, so it is not there on your calendar, but you cannot avoid these holidays, or right, so that is why it is very very important, right? And here you can see that you have also mentioned that you have to show a video, and at which point of the flow of the session you are showing that video. When you are talking about the equatorial bulge, so you are showing that video. So you explain what is equatorial bulge, and now you're going to tell them that why scientifically it is happening. See, आजकल के बच्चे ना, आप जो कहते हैं उसको वो एक्सेप्ट नहीं करते. They always have a question. Our times were different, that we used to accept our teachers, whatever our teachers used to say. But now they already have a lot of, access to a lot of information. So they are not going to accept your explanation as it is. They're going to question you. So it is better that you tell them that this is why it happens, why it is not a sphere, right? What is an ellipsoid? So you are teaching them, you are showing them a video, and showing them a video is not enough. You are also asking them questions based on the video, so that you ensure that whatever learning needs to happen through that video is happening. Goals and outcome needs to match. Okay, and then you also have your closure here, that how you're going to close your session. So summarize, ask questions, whatever you assessment plan that you have, you can write here. Okay, and then you also have your home assignments given here, that what you're going to give them as homework. And then you move on to session 2. Had time allowed us, I would have made you do this, that I would have made you align the objectives and resources and everything, but I don't think there will be time because it is already 6:08 and we need to wrap up by 6:30. Okay, all right, so let's go back to our PPT. All right, so far any questions? I hope what I'm saying is sinking in. I mean, I am able to relate to whatever is there on the PPT, and whatever I'm saying, they are in sync with each other. Okay. Thank you, John. Thank you, Kiran. Thank you, Harsha. Okay. So after you have conducted a lesson, this is a very important phase. So once you've conducted a lesson, it's not enough. You need to see, for example, I am conducting this lesson, this session, I will think about it. What went well, what did not go so well, and what the scope for improvement. This reflection is extremely important because it will make your next lessons better and better. See, it is one is like you are a teacher. One is you are a good teacher. And the third is that you are a great teacher. So I'm sure everybody would like to transition from good, from just a being a teacher to a good teacher, and then to a great. So how can you be a great teacher? Great teacher is the one who is able to, bridge these gaps. In maybe I'm there in the school system since so many years, right? But that cannot stop me from learning, from reflecting. I have to reflect, correct? So maybe there are so many people here. So maybe I'm able to reach only a couple of them because only a couple of responses I'm getting. I'm not able to see any other response. So I assume that I'm not able to reach them. Is it? क्या मेरी बात सबको समझ में आ रही है? Okay. All right. So while you're reflecting, these are certain questions that you can ask yourself. What went well in this lesson? What was I well prepared? So all my resources and everything, my session plan was intact and in place. Was my lesson plan clear? We are talking about lesson plan here, but it has to be lesson means that particular lesson or the session. Okay. I'm not talking about the complete lesson plan. So what problems did I have? And why did I have those problems? So it is very important to reflect. Were the students involved? Was I able to engage them? So what went well during an activity and what is the scope for improvement? What could I have done differently to make it more interesting or more engaging? All right. So you have done one activity. अब आपको वही class year after year मिलती है. हाँ, class 5A में social science Sutapa Bose ही पढ़ाएंगी. All right, Sutapa Bose is going there, and every year I'm doing the same activity. Do you think this is acceptable? No, it is not. So I have to upgrade myself because technology and everything is changing, right? So I need to bring in new things in my classroom, right? What could I have done to make this lesson better? So these are certain questions which every teacher should ask once she has completed a session. This reflection is very important, and if you are discussing it with your peers, then it is even better. Okay, then we have the Q&A session. So in case so far that I have spoken to you about, in case you have any questions, you can ask me now. Any questions? Then I'll assume that whatever I've said is crystal clear to everyone. No questions?
I might have a.
Okay.
I use the term might because in the example that we saw regarding the Earth and the globe and the map, I would presume that teaching a subject across the table over a period of time, that the chapters are interlinked in some way. They are not staccato and they are not in isolation. I did not see any introduction that links to previous knowledge so as to introduce the current topic under advisement.
I
So I
had
think that
given
was missing.
questions. I had given questions to prior knowledge.
Okay, I may have missed it.
You want me to go back to that?
No, I may have missed it.
Okay.
The second point is when we talk about relevance, and the topic, for example, was water cycle. I would have enjoyed if there was a section which allows some kind of activity for the student to make the lesson, the academic learning into a practicality as to link it to something which they are aware of, which happens.
Which topic are you talking about?
This is when we are talking about the SMART objectives, relevance. So relevance in real life.
Yeah, of course. So that is what, John, when you are graduating in the during the course of the session, that is what I said, that you have to first figure out where you want to put an activity, so it is like integrating all these pedagogies together. So where you will be using a video. So it may, for example, when we're talking about this centripetal force, so maybe a video would suffice because it is not possible for you to show it in a grade 5 class, right? So when you're talking about latitudes and longitudes, maybe you can do an activity with them, right? So activity in the sense that you give them coordinates and all. So you ask them to locate certain places, and you ask them what helped them. So these are the things you need to be very judicious about what resources and what pedagogy you use. So at some places activities would work, at some places videos would work, and at some places maybe a field trip would work. Maybe explanation of the field of your school garden may work. So these are the things the teacher needs to keep in mind. That is why I'm telling you that to make it relevant, you have to be very, very clear about what your goals are and what outcomes you expect. Only then you can design it. Like you said, that activity would have been, it would have been better to in clarifying the concept. I agree with you, but you have to see where you need to put that activity. Not everything can be done through an activity. Yes, like you have chosen a topic that here we can put an activity during the flow of the, because if you have noticed, I have integrated the session plan into the lesson plan itself. So I have given a lesson plan. I have given the broader objectives of the lesson, the resources and everything. Then when I'm bifurcating them into sessions, then I have started working on my session plan. So with each session will have its, somebody's mic is unmuted. If you could please mute yourself. Right. So that every segment you have to decide what uh, activity you will be using, what pedagogy you will be using. So maybe it is through an activity. So whatever, whichever part of the lesson encourages or promotes an activity, or you can say that you can use an activity for better conceptual clarity, we'll have to do it. But for that, you have to prepare the session plan beforehand. You have to read the lesson properly, identify the different segments, and then align your resources accordingly. Right? So I think I've been able to answer.
Yes, definitely, Suttopaji.
Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
John, you want to say something?
Uh, my pointer was well explained, and thank you, ma'am, for that. Again, I'm slightly changing gears when it comes to teaching higher grades, and the challenges are a bit different because the students there, uh, especially if a student has decided to take up sciences in the higher grades, teaching them social studies becomes a challenge for many teachers, specifically history. So relevance, the question of relevance comes into play. That's the reason I brought this out. Is there any way that we can bring in some relevance in reality, in real life, which will allow them to open their minds and hearts for the teacher to actually teach the
Yeah,
lesson?
yes. John, I think all the schools have these. For example, if I'm talking about social science, so they have these social studies labs, right? So using if I am getting your point right, because I can't hear you properly, your voice is breaking. Maybe some problem with my internet connection. So what I understand is that you are saying that in the higher classes, it is difficult to establish this real life connect,
Right.
right? That is what you're saying.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
I have come across uh, uh, I know a student. I know the student, so they were just discussing. We were just discussing how they are learning geography, and in their class there were certain
यही
topics.
निकाल ले बेटा गंगे में.
So now I was really astonished that they don't use atlas. They don't use atlas when they were studying about latitudes and longitudes. So I said, how did you manage? So it is all, that is why I'm saying that it becomes all the more important for someone to chalk down what resources you're going to use. Because to bring out that real life connect, you have to be very particular about your choice of resources, right? So how can you do it? What will help you to establish that real life connect? So that is, of course, it will depend on the topic that you're dealing with. So, for example, if you're talking about planets in grade in the middle school, planets. So planets, it's not possible for them to, maybe they can create a 3D model. You can ask them to create a 3D model, right? So they will, when they are engaged in that, so they will get the feel of it, that how the asteroid belts appear, and they will. It will be easier for them to visualize. So, but you cannot show them a real planet, huh? So this is what depends on the topic. So it depends on the teacher to be very judicious about the planning stage, that how, what resources they need to uh, bring together to reach that outcome. And of course it depends on what outcome I am expecting of the children. So if it requires a real life connect, maybe I'll take them for a field trip. Maybe for I'm talking about history, I will take them to an archaeological museum to see for themselves that how things are preserved and how things were so many years ago, right? So these are the things that the teacher needs to organize.
Uh, I think
Are you
everybody has
convinced?
cleared their doubts.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's already
Yes.
Any
okay.
questions left?
Thank
Mr.
you. So
Harsha,
this
you
is
want to
your
say something?
executive.
I think the session was very informative, and also we learned about the goals and how the goals can be, used by using the technique of the session planning. Can be the outcome can be achieved. That's what we learned today. And it was an excellent
Thank you
session.
so
Thank you,
much.
Mr.
Thank you so
Harsha.
much.
Suttapaji, I think everybody has asked their
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot for such a nice and descriptive webinar. Thank you everyone for joining us for this webinar. And I will be sending feedback form in the group. Thank you,
So I would
Suttapaji.
like to leave you on this note that teaching without planning is like sailing without a compass.
Yes,
Right?
definitely.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Suttapaji.